The impact of Artem's body against the marble floor echoed through the ballroom like thunder, shaking to the crystals of the glossy luminaires. 3 white teeth rolled through the polished floor, leaving a red trail behind it like silk ink behind it. The guests, seconds earlier raising cups in our 10 years of marriage, froze in place, between the astonishment and that morbid morbo of those who witness a car accident, the mixture of horror and fascination that paralyzes. My brother, Alex, hovered over my husband's stretched body as a vengeful shadow, his almost 2 meters high turning him into a monument to instant justice. In a cold voice, as calm as the dagger blade, he sentenced, "If you touch my sister again, the next time you wake up in the ICU." And that's not a threat, it's promise. But the slap that still burned my face was not the real blow. What hurt was the web of lies, manipulations, and betrayals that, after years, dragging on in the shadow, collapsed over us with the strength of a collapse, spectacular, noisy, worthy of the worst Russian soap operas of disunited family. The restaurant salon shone like a fairy tale palace. Crystal chandeliers played golden reflexes in the marble columns, while I, months earlier, had planned every detail that night with the obsession of a general preparing a battle. I remember the nights in Clear by choosing from fresh oysters and salmon tartar, heated discussions with the buffet manager about the disposition of the tables, the endless evidence of wine. Artem, my husband, just waved his head, distracted. "Do as you want, Kotik. I have an urgent project at work." Now, of course, I understood what kind of project was that. 10 years. An entire decade. I wanted that celebration to be more than a party, I wanted it to be a reunion, a reminder of what made us choose each other in the past. I adjusted for the 100th time the emerald silk dress, Artem's birthday present, or at least that he said when she deliver him, wrapped in a silk paper from a boutique too expensive for our budget. The fabric slid down my body like water, and for the first time in months I felt beautiful. Stunning, even. "You surpassed yourself, Dosha," sighed Nastia, my best friend, extending 2 cups of champagne. "This is from another world." I smiled, admiring the flawless hall, the perfectly arranged flowers, the faces of our loved ones. I wanted that night to be unforgettable. If only he knew how unforgettable she would become. Artem was in the opposite corner of the hall, impeccable in his black suit, the silver hair of the hairstyles with surgical precision. I laughed excitedly at a woman I had never seen before, a brune of scandalous curves wrapped in a dress that looked painted on the body. I immediately recognized the style of Yulian Sajenko, that bold neckline, those draped in the hips. $1,300 at least. Did she herself pay, or was it a gift? Around the neck, a collar of rubies, in the ears, diamond pendants. Each piece shouted, money, power, desire to impress. Her laugh was low, guttural, rehearsed, the kind of laughter that women like her train before the mirror, aware of the effect she causes on men. When I played my hair back with a calculated gesture, I noticed how Artem's eyes followed it, mesmerized. There was something in the way he leaned to her, how his hand took a second one more on her wrist. A sharp tox of anxiety crossed me. "Who is this with Artem?" I asked Nastia, forcing a casual tone. She followed my gaze and shrugged. "First time I see. It must be a client of him. My husband worked at a great construction company, and it was common to invite business partners to family events, but there was something in their proximity, in the way their bodies turned to each other, which seemed too intimate." I pushed the thought with a mental gesture. It was our party. Our birthday. I took a deep breath and plunged back into the social dance of the night. I circulated among the guests, ensuring that no bowl was empty, no dish to remain untouched. In the role of perfect hostess, it was fair removing a bottle of Krasno Krimko from the counter when I saw them. Artem and the mysterious unknown were now in an isolated corner of the hall, so close that bordered indecency. His hand was resting on her waist as she whispered something in her ear. When he walked away, I saw on Artem's face a smile he hadn't seen for years, that same smile full of desire and a boy's mischief that he reserved only for me at the beginning of everything. My heart fired. I approached, trying to control the tremor in the bottle. This is absurd, I thought. I will just introduce myself, offer some wine, everything will be resolved. Artem, Dorogoy, I call, coming close. I think I don't know your companion yet. They turned at the same time, and for a moment I captured something in his eyes, a flash of guilt. Her smile was polite, but as cold as steel. "Dosha, this is Victoria," presented my husband, with a new tension in his voice. "She works with one of our suppliers." Victoria reached out. I stretched mine, balancing the bottle with the other, and then my jump curled into the bar of the dress. The world turned. The bottle escaped from my fingers. Time slowed down as she twirled in the air, dark wine gushing in an elegant bow before scrutinizing over Victoria's immaculate red dress. The drink dripped through the face, forming dark streams to her shoes. "My God!" I exclaimed, horrified. "Sorry, I'm so clumsy. I'll get a cloth, I fix it." But Victoria retreated like I was a leprosy. His face writhed in a grimace of disgust and fury. "Did you spoiled my dress?" he said. "This is a designer. It costs more than you earn in a month. I pay the cleaning, buy another one, whatever you want," I stammered, burning with shame. "I'm sorry, Pravalnya." And then my husband did something that would destroy everything I thought to know about him. "What the hell are you doing?" he roared, the sharp voice like a razor. His face was purple with anger, the jaws locked. "Artem, it was unintentionally." I tried, stunned. "Unintentionally?" He advanced, raising his tone. "You humiliated me in front of everyone, roared Victoria's dress with your idiot lack of way." The entire hall silenced. I felt the eyes like needles on the skin. My cheeks burned. "I already apologized," I muttered, confused with that disproportionate fury. "Sorry, they are not good," he shouted. "I got tired of justifying your shit, Dosha. I got tired of you to ruin everything that is important to me." In 10 years of marriage, Artem had never spoken to me like that. We were fighting, yes, but he had never been cruel, never exploded for so little. "Artem, please," I begged, aware that we were the center of attention. "Let's talk in particular." "No," he shouted. "I got tired of making excuses for you. I got tired of your constant mistakes." And then it happened. His hand rose in the air and descended over my face with a dry crack that echoed through the silent hall. The force of the slap threw me to the side. I stumbled, the palm pressing the skin on fire. A deadly silence fell on us. I was paralyzed, the face throbbing, his eyes full of tears. In a decade, Artem had never raised his hand to me. I had never raised the voice very much. The man who stared at me now, with pure hatred in his eyes, was a stranger. "Artem," began Victoria, her soft voice cutting the air like a blade. "I touched your shoulder with trembling fingers. Maybe you should." "No." The word escaped from my lips with, I have a torn, almost inaudible sigh. I straightened the spine, still pressing the burning face, and faced Artem directly in the eyes. "Do not dare." But he no longer looked at me. His face had paled like chalk, his eyes wide in pure terror. Not for me, for something behind my back. When I turned, relief and gratitude struck me like a wave, so intense that they hurt. 3 meters away, my brother, Alexei, occupied the space with an overwhelming presence. Almost 2 meters high, wide shoulders like a barricade, the tense body like an arc about to fire. He has always been able to impose respect just for existing, but now, with his face darkened by fury, his fists ferries like hammers, he was the very incarnation of revenge. "You just hit my sister." His voice was cold, almost serene, but in the sepulchral silence of the hall, each syllable echoed like thunder. Artem swallowed hard, Adam's apple jumping convulsively. "Lyosha, it's not what you're thinking, Dash." "That's exactly what I'm thinking." Alexei advanced a step. Artem backed up instinctively, like an attached animal. "And I think you just punchy my sister in front of 100 people because she unintentionally poured wine on her. How is it?" He took a dramatic break, the fixed eyes of Artem as blades. "In your lover." "Lover." The word hit me as a second slap, more brutal than the first. "What are you talking about?" My voice failed. Alexei did not even flash, keeping Artem stuck in his killer gaze. "Do you prefer to tell yourself, or do I continue?" Artem opened and closed his mouth, but no sound came out. His eyes jumped between me and my brother, desperate, as if they sought a way that did not exist. Tell what? I demanded, although a part of me already knew. The excessive intimacy with Victoria, her fierce defense, the access of anger by a glass of spilled wine, all was chained now, forming a clear and cruel picture. Dosha. Alexei's voice was soft but sharp as steel. I hired a private detective 3 weeks ago. What? I looked at him, stunned. Why? Because I was worried about you. His tone hardened upon turning to Artem. You were erased, unhappy. And he? A bitter laugh escaped from his lips. It acted like a cat with the paw on the can of milk whenever I appeared. So I decided to check it out. The hall was so silent that I listened to the blood throbbing in my ears. Everyone watched us as if we were actors on a stage, but it was not theater. It was my life, crumbling in slow motion under the spotlight of hypocrisy. Detective has photos. Alexei continued, relentless. Card extracts. Hotel reservations. You were rented a suite on the Grant Hotel, every Friday, 4 months. Dinner in the Eastern Paradise, always at the bottom table. The journey from Anapa last month, when you told her that I was going to a building fair. His voice lowered, lethal. There is a recent photo. From a jewelry. Choosing a ring, Artem. A ring. Someone in the hall choked a scream. Aunt Marina, probably, always thought Artem was the perfect son-in-law. 5 months. The words nailed me like knives. 5 months of lies, false kisses, meetings that ended late, work trips that were actually encounters with the lover. I looked at Victoria. His face, once impeccable under layers of makeup, was now pale, his fingers crushing the stained fabric of his dress. The confident seductive, who whispered in my husband's ear, had disappeared. There was only one terrified woman left, stuck in her own trap. And truth? I asked the Artem, so low that I barely heard me. His shoulders sank. Dosha, I can explain. And truth? I repeated, louder this time. Yes. The admission stopped in the air like a grenade with the pulled pin. I was disconnected from my own body, as if to watch the wreck of someone else's life. You. I brought it here. The realization was slow, poisonous. For our birthday. You brought your lover to celebrate 10 years of our marriage. Dosha, please listen to me. Listen to what? Alexei advanced again, his voice thundering. How did you betray my sister for 5 months? How did you bring this slut to your birthday dinner? How did she hit her because she unintentionally got the old woman that you have sex in the back? Don't call her like this. Artem tried to protest, weak. Wrong answer. I have never seen my brother move so fast. In a second, he was 3 meters away. In the following, his fist collided with Artem's jaw in a dry crack that made me shudder to the marrow. Artem collapsed like a cloth doll, turning into a jumble in form on the floor. Blood gathered from his mouth, soaking the white shirt. When he tried to rise, I saw 3 broken teeth in the marble white funds against the dark stone, as data thrown by fate would always fall on the wrong side. Victoria petrified. Her lips trembled, her eyes ran the hall in search of a savior who would not come. He murmured something for Artem, but he didn't hear, he didn't want to. Then he simply dissolved in the crowd like smoke in the wind. No one even noticed his departure. Lyosha. The scream came out of me, but it was not of horror, there was a relief. Finally, someone had defended me. Artem moaned and rolled sideways, spitting blood. You broke my jaw, he mocked, the lips already swelling. Your luck that it was just the jaw. Alexei flexed his fingers, the bloody nodes. If you touch my sister again, I'll send you straight to the ICU. It was not a threat. It was a promise. It was the pure truth. Suddenly, it all made sense. He didn't want a family, he just wanted the facade. Do you know what's the worst part? I asked, turning the glass between my fingers. I've been feeling that something was wrong for months. But why didn't you tell me before? I looked at Lyosha, questioning the investigation. He avoided my gaze, guilty. I expected to be wrong. May the detective find nothing and I could forget all that. But when the tests began to emerge, he just shook his head. I could not allow you to continue to deceive me. And today, he himself destroyed himself, completed nastier, with a cold smile of satisfaction before relatives, friends, and colleagues. And it was the crude of truths. Until the dawn, all Krasnodar would know, Artem betrayed me, brought the lover for our birthday, raised his hand against me in front of witnesses. His reputation would collapse, and the business, probably, too. But that didn't bring me relief. 3 days later, I was sitting at the lawyer's office, the divorce documents spread over the mahogany table. The bruise on his face displayed violent purple tones, and I stopped trying to disguise him. To see what my husband did to me. With documented aggression, witnesses, and adultery, divorce will be fast, explained Irina Zotova, impassive. All the equity acquired together will be divided in half. You will receive exactly your part. I nodded like an automaton. A week ago, I planned a romantic dinner. Now I planned a divorce. There is one more thing, Irina continued, cautiously. Her husband's lawyer contacted it yesterday. Want to negotiate. Negotiating what? He offers everything, the apartment, the cars, the economies. In return, you remove the complaint for aggression. I looked at her, incredulously. All. Everything. You would be guaranteed for the rest of your life, Doria Yurievna. I could never work if I didn't want to. It was tempting. But something inside me has revolted against the idea of letting you get rid so easily. If I file the complaint, with so many witnesses and the public exposure, he will probably take a real sentence. From 6 months to a year. Beyond the total career collapse. I imagined Artem in a prison uniform instead of expensive suits. A part of me longings. For that, he yearned for him to suffer as I suffered. But another part just wanted to forget it, take everything, close the chapter and start from scratch. I need to think. A month later, I was in the kitchen of my apartment, preparing coffee in the stillness in the morning. The divorce was completed in record time. Artem delivered everything. I did not submit a complaint. The place seemed different now. Clear, maybe. Or perhaps because the poison of the presence of Artem no longer poisoned the air. Perhaps because, for the first time in 7 years, I felt free. Lyosha knocked on the door and entered without waiting, childhood habit. How are you, sister? He wrapped me in a bear hug, careful not to squeeze too much. Better, I answered. And it was true. Different, but better. I have news from Artem. I shook my head without interest. Our common friends mentioned that he managed to put himself somewhere. I was silent. And Victoria? Lyosha smiled, ironic. It turned out that she is also married. Her husband learned of the cases when her birthday photos leaked on the net. Now they are also divorced, but unlike you, she leaves empty hands. Her prenuptial agreement is bulletproof. Karma doesn't sleep. For sure. We were silent, savoring the coffee as the sun was born over the city. From that same window where I used to wave to Artem when he went to work or pretended to go. How many times, in fact, went to her. But what difference did it make now? I think I'll sell the apartment, he said suddenly. Lyosha raised an eyebrow. Serious? Why? Other memories. I want to start from scratch. Maybe move close to the sea, travel a little. Now I have enough money to do whatever you want, live wherever you want. Irony did not escape me. Artem's betrayal, in the end, set me free. At least we had no children. He always postponed, sometimes his career was not stable, sometimes the apartment was not big enough. Now, I understood the real reason. And the work. He was a curator in a museum of fine arts. He loved what he was doing, but the salary was modest. He had resigned the day before. I'll start my own business. Consulting for small museums, helps with collections. Work when and wherever you want. Sounds perfect. That's what it seems. Now I was on the porch of my new Sochi apartment, watching the sunset paint the sea in gold and pink tones. Wet and hot air caressed the skin, and for the first time in years I felt genuine peace. The phone vibrated. Message from Nastia, from Krasnodar. I saw the Artem the other day at the intersection. It's horrible. He lost weight, aged 10 years. He asked for you. What did you say? That you are living your life as much as possible in Sochi and you don't even remember his name anymore. I smiled and kept my cell phone. It was the pure truth. I didn't talk about Artem, I didn't think of him unless someone mentioned him. He had become a footnote in the first chapter of my life, no longer the protagonist. Time has passed, and my consulting business flourished. I already worked with 3 museums, helping to organize collections. And for the fall, there were 2 more scheduled projects. The work brought me a deep satisfaction. My first client was a small private museum in Jelencic. Its owner, an elderly collector, had gathered an impressive collection of decorative art from the Caucasus, but had no idea how to systematize it. I spent 2 weeks there, cataloging, scanning, creating a database. I worked with passion, even forgetting lunch. At night, I was going to the sea, sitting at a coffee by the beach with a glass of local wine and understood, this is the happiness. Not in the expensive gifts of an unfaithful husband, not in the status of married lady, but in the work she loved and the freedom to choose. The second project was in Novorossiysk, the third in Twops. Rumors about the young expert who really helped and not just charged for consulting. They spread fast. Now, I was happy. Really happy, without caveats, for the first time in years. I thought that birthday night, at the crack of Artem's jaw, Lyosha's protective fury. In a moment, everything collapsed. At the time, it seemed the end of the world. But it was just the beginning of a new life. The phone rang. Lyosha. Hello, little sister. Hello, sister. How is paradise? Perfect. And it's serious. And at home? Mustful, as always. Listen, I have news. Which? The kind that will make you smile. Remember the Artem partner, Sergei? Yes. So it is. It was found that Artem diverted money from the company to play his case. Sergei discovered this during the dissolution of society. Yesterday, Artem was arrested for financial fraud. I should feel satisfaction, triumph. But I felt nothing. Artem's fate had no power over my emotions. Good job, Sergei, that's all I said. Just that. Lyosha laughed. I thought you were giving joy. Maybe I had danced before. But I overcame it. Artem made his choices. Now gather the consequences. It no longer concerns me. I changed. I became stronger. I was myself again, the one that existed before spending a decade trying to fit the molds of others before bending to meet expectations that were never mine. Lyosha looked at me with a pride that didn't need words, and her next sentences sounded like an echo of what I already knew. I am proud of you, dash. The way he reacted himself, the life he built from scratch. Without you, I would not have succeeded. Thank you for protecting me that night, for being my shield when I didn't have the strength to defend myself. He only answered, with the simplicity of those who do not need grandiloquence to express loyalty. Always. We are family. I stayed at the counter after the conversation ended. The sun had already surrendered to the horizon, painting the sky with the last traces of light before giving way to the night. In dark velvet above me, the first stars began to blink, shy, as if they knew they were witnessing a rebirth. Somewhere, in Krasnodar, maybe counting the days between 4 walls, paying for the weight of their choices. In another corner, Victoria tries, asking for play, rebuilding what was broken, while I, here, get the twilight in my own paradise. Free. Happy. Whole. Sometimes the best revenge is not the counterattack. It is simply living well. It is to love itself with an intensity that overshadows any betrayal. It is writing one's own story without letting the spots of others dwell on their pages. I raised my glass toward the stars, another wine, another place, a completely different life. By the new beginnings, I muttered to the nightly wind. The sea responded with a whisper of approval, as if the whole universe conspired in my favor. I smiled. Not out of triumph, but for peace. Not out of victory, but for finally found the way back to me.